What's up, guys? We're back. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to keep intros a lot shorter. Basically, I'm going to shout out to the members. Thank you guys all for the support. Really appreciate you guys. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Saxon. I go by Vegas. I was in the International Legion. No longer anymore. I was a 1st Battalion Charlie Platoon. Before that, I was a firefighter, EMT. We are on part 2 of 67 days surrounded by enemies. Let's go, baby.
Damn it. A gas cylinder.
I rewound it just a smidge for anybody who's keeping up with me, so this is just like a little recap.
I said, who cares? And we tossed the grenades in. We threw the balloon. The fucker in short screamed there. I'm telling you this with a smile now, but then there was no smile at all. At 7.55, the assault started because I took a picture for a woman for good luck. End of the fighting was at 19:22. From 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., it was pure stress. Non-stop shootouts. Honestly, it was hell. By nightfall, we'd been hammered by FPVs all day. The explosions were so close, I could see the blast waves, see the fire from the detonations.
How many FPVs hit your dugout in total? Can you even count them?
It's impossible to count.
Was it hundreds?
It was every 10 minutes, all day. Every 10 minutes.
Did they land directly on your dugout?
No, they flew straight into the hole, detonating inside.
This is that part I was talking about at the end of last video. So there's, what, 7 or 8 of them. 8 of them to begin with. One of them ends up 200 or KIA. But that's the entrance of their dugout. And these things are flying in and exploding in front of these sandbags, these FPVs.
It all collapsed. Fuck. We had an exit there, which we blocked with sandbags to create a narrow passage and support the ceiling. There was a narrow passage, there was a turn, and there was a 34-meter passage to the turn. At first, they hit that 34-meter section, and then we had direct hits. I could see it. A direct flight, unable to turn. It was obvious the signal was lost. FPV detonated.
Dude, if only we could get like some big Hollywood production company to get on board with making a Ukraine, not a documentary, maybe even like, well, that would be ideal. Like a really realistic documentary. So to get people's attention back on what's going on here in Ukraine. But I was thinking of just like a crazy war movie, right? Based on real events. You could use any of hundreds, probably thousands of people's real life stories and testimonies. And it may not be in great taste, right, to make a movie about this current conflict, but if the goal is to bring attention to the conflict, I don't see anything wrong with that. But like a big, I'm talking like fucking who's the guy that does Transformers with all the explosions? I forget his name. We need that dude on make a Ukraine action war movie.
In the bags were scattering. Since we were pressed against the wall, dirt flew all over us. It's a bit painful. It really hits the ears hard, especially in the bunker. It puts a lot of pressure on them. I watched those explosions and told the guys, if they destroy this section, or if it gets a signal and makes the turn, it's going to fly straight under our feet. I said, guys, we need to get out of here now. Here it's intact, but over there, damn, this is a total fuck. The next day, we loaded up RPGs and the AGS tripod. We left behind the Browning, our rifles, and, aside from grenades, we had no other weapons. I told the guys, let's head to the hole where I carried Komish. There's a dugout there. Our 2 NGU wounded soldiers used to serve there, but after the FPR hit them, we stopped posting anyone there. The dugout is partially collapsed, but we can sit it out there. 4 of us, 2 in one hole and 2 in the other. We're just going to sit there. We won't fire a shot, even if there would be an assault. If they would come, we won't expose ourselves in any way. We would wait for 24 hours, and in the morning we would come out. They said, Roger, Roger. We moved in, waited for 24 hours. The NGU drone dropped us some food, and we picked it up. Sanyal Hanesian and I stayed in one hole, while the other 2 old men were in a second dugout nearby, where the trench diverged. Here we are in one hole, and they are in the other dugout. It was the quietest 24 hours we'd experienced in a very long time. When the time came to leave, I contacted my command and asked, am I stay alone? Hey, do I go out with them? Bring them weapons? My command told me negative. I thought, Okay, a negative. Was I going to Pincher? Because I was leading people there, that's where I had to go. They told me to stand by. I quickly came to a conclusion. Command likely wanted us to hold because the AFU were handing it over to the NGU, while the others
So the Ukrainian armed forces are handing over the line or this AO to the Ukrainian National Guard. Meanwhile, these guys are stuck in literally a shithole with no supplies. They don't even have their rifles on them. They've got the automatic grenade launcher and an RPG.
packed up. My brain went into overdrive, as if it was working at 200%. I told myself, I will survive 100%. Now, what do I need to do? I needed energy. I went to blindage. I grabbed fully charged power banks, grenades, and as much ammunition as I could carry. I had my Kalashnikov, a Kalashnikov LMG, tripwires, picked up the string to set the tripwire.
PKM. There's a little... Oh no, that's a full-size AK-74 on the left side.
I noticed there was a generator nearby, so I grabbed a bottle of gasoline, planning to use the generator to charge gear at night. There was an EcoFlow there too, if bastards did not come in and take it.
EcoFlows are nice, those big portable power banks, but like big, like they're like bigger than a car battery, and they're heavy, but they've got a lot of power in them. Okay, babe, you can't just step on the keyboard.
Then in the morning I would go in twilight and take it myself. Everything was planned. I rationed my food to last several days, knowing more could be dropped later. I would drink water and then determine how much water I need, keeping watch at night and sleeping during the day. If fucker came through the trench, I'd set up 2 tripwires. I knew how to place them. If triggered, the explosion would wake me during the day, and I'd be... That's how I prepared myself for staying alive, alone.
Imagine, you were preparing for a defense stronghold alone.
Later, I wrote everything down and sent it to Star for Toma. I'm not sure if he passed it on to headquarters, but he replied, "Stand by." Then, a bit later, he messaged me, "Are you crazy? No, you shouldn't do that." That was it. He told me to withdraw to Pincher. His message came around 5 in the morning, long after the AFU soldiers had already left. By then, I had spent the entire night digging out a defensive position for myself. I worked to create a small, secure hole where I could lie down and have cover. My goal was to avoid direct line-of-sight fire. If fucker entered the trench and opened fire, I needed a position with angles to hide behind, one where a bullet couldn't reach me. I kept expanding the space. By the time I was done, I must have hauled out at least 20 bags of soil.
Did you defend the position alone? Did you stay at the position all the time?
It was while the AFU were preparing to withdraw. It was the last night. I spent that final night focused on fortifying my position. I want to survive. In my head, it felt like a voice shouting at me, "You will survive, 100%. You need to do this, that."
I mean, that's like this. Number one, this dude is an absolute savage. 25-year-old lieutenant now, which is the youngest that they were saying that they know of. And he is in full-blown survival mode right now. He's running off of fumes. He is literally planning an Alamo last stand by himself on the 0 line of the Ukrainian-Russian war. This is insane, dude.
The other. On August 17th, I went to Pincher, took my raincoat, body armor, helmet on top, a backpack, maximum power banks in my backpack, took 2 bottles of water, power banks. I was told to leave the RP. It wasn't practical. If I needed to sprint the 300 meters to our lines, a stretch of gray zone between our position and Pincher was just a small distance, but no one has watched our soldiers in that area, and it's possible there are bastards there because there are destroyed positions. I was thinking, okay, I need my backpack back, plus food. I took as much as I could because they dropped it off that same night. I grabbed some water, took my phone, and told Toma, I'll take the internet equipment, the router, the antenna, and the cable. He said,
Starlink.
Roger. I got to Pincher and thought, okay, 300 meters? I'm ready for this. I've been preparing for war. I run, I work out, To stay in shape, I think. What's 300 meters? I can handle that. So I started running. After 50 meters, though, I feel it. I can't keep running. Fine. I'll walk, but I can hear the drones buzzing everywhere. Chuck, chuck, chuck. I know the path to Pincher. I shout into the walkie-talkie. Pincher, Pincher. Santa Claus here. Because I'm carrying a bag full of supplies. I say, Santa Claus has arrived. And I go in and drop off the bag D. The first time, I was the one who guided people to pick up, from Adolf to Pincher. I told them, guys, remember last time when I came and promised to bring you some snacks, maybe a Snickers or two? Well, here you go. I brought bags, a couple of Snickers bars to snack on, bottles of water, and that was it. They were so happy to see me. I greeted everyone, shook hands with all of them. We figured it out and set up the antenna. The antenna was disguised, a square one, connected with 2 single-core TV cables. These cables ran down and connected to a Wi-Fi router, the kind that uses SIM cards. A Vodafone SIM card was inserted. I disguised the antenna at night. It turned out to be a faggot lying near Pincher. So I propped a board against him to hold the antenna. I taped the antenna to the other end of the board, and it worked perfectly. It was well camouflaged since everything around was destroyed, and the setup blended in with the green t-shirt draped over it, making it nearly invisible. I said, take a picture with the drone and show me. You couldn't really make it out. I ran the wires, set up the internet, and told the guys, we'll use the internet only at night and keep it off during the day. At night, we could finally connect with our families. The guys had been without any contact with their loved ones for 50 days.
50 days.
Yes, 50 days. After that, I said, guys, let's...
Imagine their families, dude. I mean, if you know a loved one's going out to the front line in this war, and they don't contact you after a week, that's not looking good. Okay? 50 days is absurd. Like you would have counted those guys gone, right? Wow.
Set up some kind of communication. They called their relatives and everyone. When someone called, I called my parents, or someone called friends and comrades in arms. He talked, but everyone else could hear it. It turned out that everyone started talking, so I said, what do you have here, guys? I told them about the positions, what we were doing there.
By the positions, where you were defending, and the one that came.
All of it.
The bodies of Russian assault troops that tried to capture the position were destroyed by soldiers in close combat. It was just incredible. Let's imagine this. 37 days, from July 10th to August 17th, of continuous shelling right at your hideout. You don't leave except during battles. During the battle, you don't move or do anything.
Yes. We go out at night.
At night you leave. All day you stay inside. And even without communication, as I understand, because you were out of touch. After 37 days, you move to another position and continue the mission. It's just incredible. And the infantry there, dear friends, is very important to realize at what cost, with what efforts, with what small number of fighters such important areas are held. Because behind this thin line of defense is the city of Siversk, and thanks to such extraordinary efforts, our soldiers are holding these positions and defending Siversk. Tell us, dear friend, please, how the fighting went on at Pincher's position.
What influenced me that I had worse conditions at Pincher? A smaller hole. We had a dugout there. Here, the dugout was collapsed. The hole was smaller. On the second or third day, they said that in front of the pickup there were 2 Russians. They said, Pincher, engage and kill them.
Well, the positions are very close.
From us to the pickup, about 200 meters. They were in front of us, and the fucker was right next to Pincher, and a little bit 200 meters away was the pickup. And then the ravines start, and to our right is a field, a 2-kilometer-wide field, with no trees, nothing, just open land, and it's mine. I took the ford, just fired a shot, went inside. Toma told me, you kill one fucker. Well, anyway, it wasn't a problem. There were mostly just assaults like that. We went out, fired from GPs, attacked with FPV drones. That assault, or whatever it was, wasn't really an assault. It felt like nonsense. Sanya Komiak came out, and it turns out you can hear everything clearly from the hole when you're closest to the exit. He came out, and we used to go to the toilet there. He went out, did his business, and knelt down, because standing wasn't possible. You could only crouch there. He bent over. I was staying on the radio set, and I got distracted because I didn't hear the usual rattling of human waste in the bottle. He came back and said, guys, be quiet. I asked, Sanya, what's up? He said. I hear vehicles. I asked, where from? To the right, he said. I call out, Tomba, we're hearing vehicles on the right, he responded. Roger, Roger, we see them. Looks like passengers heading your way on a motorcycle. Combat readiness. Roger, I replied. And then I started hearing the motorcycle myself. I could hear it passing by us, and then it stopped. Sanya said, it stalled, directly at your 6 o'clock position, right behind you. Step out and engage. So I grabbed my rifle and said, guys, who's coming with me? One of them replied, no one. I threw on my armor, grabbed my rifle, and stepped out. I turned around and identified him. I could see his helmet clearly through the bushes. Got a good view of his helmet. At first, I thought that switching the safety lock on my rifle down quickly would put it into burst mode, but it was single short fire. The selector was all the way down, extreme right and bottom, and I thought it was burst mode. So I pulled the trigger. Pop! A single shot, he screamed, and I realized I'm on single fire. No bursts, no time to switch now. I started firing. Pop, 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 pop. I knew I had 2 grenades on me, an M67 and I started firing.
I thought they was just kind of like watching a clip of just another Russian soldier on a bike, like trying to show us like what it was like. No, this is actually him.
Pop, he screamed. Burst mode. So I pulled the trigger. Pop! A single shot, he screamed, and I realized I'm on single fire. No bursts, no time to switch now. I started firing. Pop, 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 pop. I knew I had 2 grenades on me, an M67 and an F1. I grabbed the M67 and threw it. Boom. Then I grabbed the F1. Bam. I came back and said, guys, I killed him. They replied, we know. Stars already told us over the walkie-talkie that you killed him. So we went to check him out. He had armor, a helmet, radio sets, phones, passports. Looks like he was carrying power banks, probably picking them up from a position. Maybe he got lost and ended up driving to the wrong spot. There's the bike. There's that fucker. I killed him. The second situation was like this. We heard movement.
There's something so disturbing about how desensitized they are. You know, he's at this point, they've been out there for 50 days or something, and he's just recording a video like you would a TikTok, right? Just recording, and there's a dead guy right there, and he just took his life. Like, that guy was just a living person a couple of minutes ago. That is so crazy. I mean, just...
And behind us, in the forest plantation, there's a... Here's such distance. Here's Pinchar. And here's the forest plantation. Pickup is located here. And we go out straight to the rear with another landing coming from behind, heading to the Star. That's how we enter and exit. Why couldn't we get out? Because those bastards had moved in from outside, ran to the forest plantation to Star, and dug in there. Our soldiers were trying to withdraw. Our dismounted logistics were trying to retreat. Then a firefight broke out. We had KIAs and WAs. We tried to push them out, but they were entrenched in their dugouts. We captured some prisoners, and they told us there are people in every dugout here.
It's an important point. The men were holding their positions there. Let's explain why you stayed in those positions for so long without rotation. Why you remained there for so long, using drones, unable to move, hiding, and how the enemy became confused and entered your positions. Because in fact, these positions were surrounded, and the enemy was on 2 flanks. From what distance? Because the enemy surrounded you from 2 flanks. No one could enter.
Because the enemy surrounded you from 2 flanks. No one could enter.
The enemy was 300 meters away on both flanks, so they were confusing the positions because they were there next to each other.
Why can't we go to the right? Because there is a field on the right. They will see us, first of all, through the field. And secondly, it is mine. And it turns out that we can't go forward. Left Russians, right Russians, and to the right there are mines.
But, friends, it is very important, you know. Very often, when we are told to hold on, when an order is given, few people understand what is behind it. And here is an example when the 4th Rubizh Brigade of the National Guard, the Freedom Battalion, carried out this order for the longest possible time, when, in principle, it was no longer possible to fulfill this task if you look at the map. The enemy enveloped the position from both sides, 300 meters on one flank, 300 meters on the other, and kept it under fire, even with small arms. They were advancing closer, making it nearly impossible to bring anyone in or evacuate anyone out. So, in fact, it was an encirclement, and the soldiers, who understood the situation perfectly, followed the order and held their ground in the encirclement for such a long period of time.
So there's two enemy lines, and they're in the middle right here. So the enemy isn't aware that they're right here, because they think this enemy team thinks it's these guys. This enemy team thinks it's these guys. Meanwhile, they're just right in here picking off people here and there.
Now we're reaching the turning point. We could hear the strikes on the forest plantations behind us. We clearly heard the hits. We heard outgoing and incoming rounds behind us. We understood that our forces were providing support in our rear, targeting the forest plantation. And once again, Sanya went out to the toilet, again with a bottle, and he heard chuck chuck. And again, I was on duty. He came back with such eyes. He said, "Guys, F# car ran by." He ran right past us. "We're watching from the hideout, you know, through this little window." I said, "Wait, how did he run past? Did you actually see him?" He said, "Yeah, he ran down the trench, towards the pickup." I relayed it over the walkie-talkie. "Chuck, chuck, 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 chuck." They responded, "Roger, Roger, we'll keep an eye on him." I asked, "What was he wearing? Did you identify him? Armor, helmet? How was he dressed?" He said, "He wasn't wearing anything, just pants and a shirt." I said, "Fuck, let's go and kill him." I contacted Star Guys, let's go and clear him out. They responded, "Negative, negative." I said, "All right, we'll sit tight, sit tight." We were quiet, but I am speaking loudly now, and we're all whispering so that he didn't hear us. I said, "Okay, guys, he's heading towards the pickup." He's sitting there. There were some intact fences there. Moreover, there were few hitouts. He could hold up in one of them. I suggested we listen for a bit. We sat there listening. I went there to the exit. I had the machine gun ready. I was in armor. As I sat there, I heard him cough. I said, "Guys, am I hearing things?" Relay that I hear him coughing. Let Star throw an explosive payload there. He would run out. We relayed it to Star. "Roger, Roger." We were watching. It was getting dark by then. We were watching with night drones. No heat signatures. We were hovering above you 24/7, but we couldn't see anything. I said, "Throw explosive payloads. Listen to me." "Negative, negative," they replied. I thought, "I'm doing it." I grabbed a grenade and crawled out. One grenade over there, another one. Silence. I thought, maybe I killed him, or maybe I'm just hearing things. Auditory hallucinations. The next day, we went out. We were thirsty as hell, starving too. They brought 4 bottles of water for 4 guys. And when it's scorching like that, it's an oven in the hole. 4 bottles of water, just 1.5 liters each. He could carry up to 14 kilos. I was thinking 14 kilos of food, that's a lot. But no, it was just 4 bottles, 1.5 liters each. Every bottle weighed 1.5 kilograms. That's 6 kilos. Plus, they wrapped them up and threw them from above so they wouldn't break. The wrapping added another kilo, 7 kilos total. The second half of the delivery was food. Plus, we were requesting grenades for the automatic grenade launcher, VOG rounds, because we were firing them. And they're heavy. They also sent us some claymores to set up mines. We set up those claymores. So basically, we were getting weapons and food. And it turned out that 4 bottles of water plus enough to steam that instant noodles for 4 guys isn't that much. So we had to ration. And we were so damn thirsty. It was scorching hot. I said, "Let's go look around." They had dropped some yellow bottles separately with the Mavic. Just some aid. I thought, maybe while there are no drones around, we can go and see if we can find some food. So we went out anyway. I filmed 2 videos. I said, "This was me and Roma Rim going out. Here's Forest Plantation to pick up. Here's Wilby Forest Plantation to the Here comes Idle. Here I come out of the hole. Here's Dead Motorcyclist. We got into the hole. It's not like walking downstairs. You have to sit down and slide in. It's easy to get inside, but getting out is really uncomfortable. Getting out quickly and react is a problem. I got in, but I see that Roma isn't coming in. That's when instincts kick in. If a guy isn't getting in, even though he knows he should, something's wrong. I said, "Roma, you good?" He said, "Hand me the rifle." I give him the rifle. I ask, "What's going on?" He said, "A fucker is standing there." I grabbed my rifle and crawled out after him. He's moving through the trench, and I was on top of the breastwork. We both spotted him at the same time and started firing at him. We killed him. We went back inside. And after that, it was quiet for 3 days, nothing but calm. Honestly, we were dying from boredom. No movement, no gunfire, nothing. Peace and quiet. Morning, the tank started firing. No more than 5 shots firing toward the rear. Before this, the tank hadn't fired at all. I hadn't heard the tank. I had been on this position for 68 days, and I hadn't heard a single shot from a tank. I think, guys, is that a tank? Seems like it was. I was getting in touch on Signal. I saw Boxer was active there. Boxer, is that the tank firing? He said, Roger, Roger. I think, damn all right, they've pulled back tank. The day goes by, it's the 14th. And I remember I hadn't slept well on the 13th or 14th. But on the 14th, I finally got some good sleep in the afternoon. Slept like a log. And I dreamt I was walking through the trench. It was night, and there was an assault. I was clearing the trenches, leading the assault. I woke up and said, guys, what a weird dream. I said, my grandma always said, let the night take the dream away. So I said it, let the night take the dream away. I thought, well, it's daytime now. The day went by, night fell, and I was still not sleepy by midnight. From 12 to 3, I was on duty, and then I got some rest. From 12 to 3, everything's fine, no activity at all. I texted Toma, what's the situation? He replied, all good, no signatures, everything's fine. Roger, Roger. The delivery's fine, everything's fine, everything's on time. Even the delivery was dropped in early, which was a miracle. Everything intact. Then at 3, Sanya Komiak relieved me. I laid down in my hole, the one on the right, the single sleeping area. I closed my eyes. Well, I could not sleep. You know that feeling? You're lying there, but you just can't fall asleep. I was lying there, lying. And then I heard over the walkie-talkie, pick up, pincher, combat readiness. Prepare the anti-tank weapon. Roger, Roger. Vehicle approaching. Roger. Roger. I checked the time. It's 6:10. We had 2 AT launchers and 1 RPG-18. I knew how to use the second AT launcher, but there's also a stronger 4th model. But the second one is against unarmored vehicles. It hits hard, but for a tank, the second one does not have enough cumulative power to penetrate the armor.
An RPG-18S2. You have 3 light grenade launchers, which, in principle, can do little against a tank.
We have 4 shots per Ford and a lot of Vosges.
Well, this is all against infantry.
I say, Roger, we can already hear it rolling in, hear the sound of the tank approaching. Over the walkie-talkie, they say, pincher, get ready. 9 o'clock position. That's where Alpha is. You've got a tank 10 meters out. I crawled out of the hideout. They handed me the AT launcher. I pulled the pin, aimed, and I saw the tank. Really, it's just 10 meters away. I could see the reactive armor, everything. On top of it, there's an anti-cumulative grid with chains hanging down to the ground to stop FPV drones from hitting it. I think, where do I hit it? I looked, the side won't work. I won't do any damage. I figured I would aim under the turret. I fired, and it went off, but flew right over it. I said, give me another AT. They handed me a second one. I thought, all right, I got it. I'll aim a bit lower this time. There's a bit of a mound, so I stood on my toes to see clearly. I fired, but it didn't go off. I say, guys, give me the RPG. There's a whole mess going on. They're trying to open the RPG, but it's fuck. There is need to set it up. They said, nobody knows how to use it. I shouted, just give me something, anything. They handed me the Ford, and I knew I had 4 rounds for it, one already loaded. I jumped out, fire, and it flew over the tank. I loaded another one, fire. The tank started moving, and it flew over again. I thought, am I a stupid person or what? I loaded all 4 rounds, and they all overshoot. I was thinking, am I an idiot? I can't even pull myself together. I said, give me the GP. They handed me the rifle GP, but the GP jammed. It won't fire. The tank rolled in, and I turned my head to the right and saw 2 more coming. I shouted, guys, the tanks are coming. 1 AT launcher didn't work. Strip me the RPG, I'll hit it with that. Someone said, I don't know how to strip it. I said, open YouTube and watch a tutorial. I said, guys, 2 tanks, get in touch with pickup. Is there any comms? But they've jammed the signal. No contact with Star through the signal.
This is so accurate, though, on how it is. I mean, as far as somebody not knowing how to use something. Oh, That's so crazy. Holy shit, dude. I'm like, I'm all juiced up. I got the adrenaline flowing just listening to this.
Or radio communication set. We're only hearing the pickup. I can't.
Fuck, I hate to do this, guys, but we're at 30 minutes right now. So we're going to end it on this one, part 2, and we'll finish the video in part 3. Please like, share, subscribe. Shoot me an email if you have any questions or if you're on your way to Ukraine. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.